Welcome everyone to Bowls on the Table podcast. It is time to equal financial fundamentals. I'm your host, Chef Earl Pearl at DB Chef TV. Always joined with my co-host, Maydae51.
Hey,
What's going on, brother? How are you today?
man, I'm doing good, doing good. You know,
Man, we got a lot to unpack today. That's great. We got a lot to unpack today. We talking about credit scores and what we can do to keep them excellent. Uh, it's a whole lot of steps to go with that 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, but we gonna try to unpack it today, right?
yeah, we're gonna try to get the people some info. Showing where they can get some of this info from, and hopefully, help them improve their financial student management of their finances. Try to get them in the going in the right direction. That's the plan anyway.
That's right. That's why we here. Before we get into that, anyone who's joining us for the first time, make sure to like and share the video. Also, subscribe to the channel and hit the notification. Happy holidays this joyful season. Visit the DB Chef TV gift shop for amazing gifts and awesome savings. Use the link in the description and access 15% off our entire site. Don't wait. The sale ends January 5th, 2024. Visit www.dbcheftv.com. So without further delay, we're going to go ahead and start getting into these tips. Yeah, because credit is a real thing that everybody needs out here. We all need credit. It's a lot of people that struggle with it. I know I struggled with it when I first started dealing with credit, and yeah, it took a while. It took a while to understand it and to apply the disciplinary practices that need for me to have the discipline. Because it's easy for us to just want stuff, to go get stuff, and then especially when you get credit. Oh my God, you just be trying to get stuff, and next thing you know, it's like,
Ooh, how you get it right? Yeah, how
how
you
do I
get that?
pay this off?
Yeah. How you get it? How you gonna pay it off? Can you afford it? And as we get into the show, you know, you got good credit, you got bad credit, and all that in between. So it's like there's no perfect credit score, even though they like to say it is. But credit is management of your finances. So you got to learn, some of these terminologies, some of these definitions, how it's graded.
Yeah,
You want to know how your credit score is graded, so you can know how to where to apply these practices and different ways of managing your credit.
right.
So if you don't know the definition, how you gonna?
Position yourself correctly, right?
Yeah, exactly. So
Yep.
we want to drop some jewels on you, the viewers, and get you going in the right direction. And,
That's right. Let's do it. So I know you got a, a a clip that you had loaded, so we can go ahead and get right into that.
so we're looking at this um, from Capital One, where you can go on CapitalOne.com and look up this information yourself and ensure that it's quality information and accurate, and how to maintain your credit score. So your credit history reflects how you've managed debt in the past, and that history shows up through your credit score. Three-digit numbers that summarize the information in your credit report. Creditors can use those scores to judge credit worthiness and set borrowing terms for credit cards and other loans. Landlords may even use them when you apply to rent an apartment. So maintaining good credit scores can have a big impact on your financial freedom or financial future, rather.
or both.
Yeah, I want to get to the freedom. We
Yeah,
won't be free out here, man.
it takes discipline though. Remember, freedom ain't free because you got to
Hey,
do the work to get
you,
it.
you gotta do the work, man. You gotta do the work.
Yes, indeed.
Uh, so they got key takeaways here. Credit scores are based on many factors, including utilization ratio. That'd be that debt versus credit. We'll get into that a little bit. Payment history and your credit mix. Credit mix can be like you got a loan, auto loan that you got to pay on, and versus a mortgage versus just a credit card. Then there's several different types of credit cards you got to look out for, and see which ones best apply to your life. You got the merchandise credit card where you can go to like Home Depot, you know,
The store
the
cards, yeah,
store cards versus like the bank cards, So
yeah.
you
There's
want to,
secured and unsecured.
yes,
That's really what's going on with that. And we
yes,
appeal back those because it's a few people. Some people have store cards but don't understand store cards don't help your credit.
right,
They only hurt you if you don't pay it.
right. They only hurt you if you don't pay it, and then you do get supposed to get like bigger discounts at that store, but then you're not getting the credit uh bonus points for spending at using that credit card versus your credit versus debt ratio. So
Right.
it is only applied towards that debt ratio and not towards your credit ratio.
Yeah, it isn't revolving.
Yeah. Maintain good credit scores can improve your chances of qualifying for a loan or getting better loan terms, like lower interest rates. So you definitely want to pay attention to your credit score and monitor it so you can get those lower interest rates, which then put money back in your pocket. Because the name of the game is keep the money in your pocket, right?
That
You want to
is.
learn how to keep your money, not always spend it and invest it. So, uh, scrolling down here, uh, you got different things that affect your credit score. There's multiple factors that do, and you can see some of the things there like bill payments, credit utilization, kind of going into some of those same things we talked about in that first paragraph. But understand what FICA is. FICA is your credit. FICA is basically a module that was created to determine your credit worthiness.
FICO says here, your credit report and FICO scores evolve frequently. Because of this, it's not possible to measure the exact impact of a single factor in how your FICO score is calculated without looking at your entire report. Whether you're making payments or not making payments, all those things are why it changes. And when you're taking on certain debts, inquiries and things like that affect your credit. They last for 2 years. So because of this, it's not possible to measure the exact impact of a single factor. Okay, so that's why you have to stay up on top of it because I'm just tripling down on it. That's the way you have to. That's the reason why you have to stay on top of it. So can't say it enough. I want people to know that it's important because we need credit to do everything.
Right. As you can see here on the screen, the two biggest categories are your payment history and amounts you owe. So if you're not paying attention to all the stuff that you owe and you're not paying that on time, and you're gonna one damage your credit history, and two, you're gonna go in more and more debt, which is gonna lower your score. And if you're doing both at the same time, then you're lowering your score by 65% or greater. You know, and that's what we don't want you to do. So we want you to be aware that the stuff you owe you need to be paying on time, and you know, and maintaining that credit, that history, that payment history, a history on time payments. That's what you want. That's what creditors want to see. So
At
you got
least
to,
the minimum payment. At least the minimum payment. Make it on time.
Make it on time.
You know,
You know.
make
Yeah.
it on time.
Boom. Look at here. And it even says it right there. First thing any lender wants to know is whether you paid past credit accounts on time.
On time.
We're not making this up. This way you can go look this up. We present it to you right here. Clothes on the table.
Straight from FICO's mouth, right?
Yeah. Straight out the horse's mouth. Straight
First
out the horse's
thing,
mouth.
let's say you're a person and you just like, okay, well, my thing ain't paying them on time. I don't have enough money. Okay, well then you need to do one or two things. You either have to find a way to make more money, okay, or you have to find a way to stop spending so much money, all right, because you don't make enough and you're spending more than you earn, okay? So you will never, ever, ever be able to get ahead if you spend more than you earn. It is impossible because you're not saving anything. That means if you're not saving anything, if you don't have ability to save, then you don't have the ability to invest.
Right.
If you don't have the ability to invest, then you don't have the ability to grow any wealth. All
Correct.
right. So you don't even have the ability to buy some things that help preserve wealth.
If you
Yeah.
look at your spending habits, because they're gonna be some things that you do in those spending habits that you could probably not spend on, and that'll allow you to start paying on these, make some small payments on time, at least the minimum payment as we discussed. If you can cut that spending habit that you have that's not necessarily needed, it's more of a want. I know you want them new J's, them new 13 11s. Hey, you might can't.
What they on 38 now? 38's coming out.
You know, we can't be spending all our money on them MJs now. Not saying you can't have them, but if you got some debts that you need to pay, then maybe make that minimum payment on time, and then see if you got some that's extra. And if you got something that's extra, then maybe you save that over a course of whatever amount of months or a year or whatever, and then get your J's. But at least you make.
They not gonna be in style then.
Hey man, they don't re-release them J's freaking every year since I've been alive.
I know, right?
They coming back out. You just gotta
the
wait.
the new J's. They are not new.
the new old J's,
The
right?
new old J's. Yeah.
Yeah.
But definitely that what you just said is truly important. Prioritizing, what we spend our money on.
We wanna change that mindset too. And we want to go from consumers to investors, right? Because when you invest, you grow, or at least you're trying to grow.
Yeah.
And when you're consuming, you just spending money. It's gone. You won't get it back. And you just acquired a thing, and you're not gonna get anything for that thing unless you sell it for more than what you paid for it. But then that would be considered an investment, right?
Right.
So
Right.
we got to learn how to definitely be aware and notice our spending habits so that we can pay our bills on time and reduce that amount owed. Right?
Absolutely.
Boom.
What we have to understand is that we have to keep our debt low. That's why they say, stay out of debt. Keep debt as low as you can. And then have as much credit as you can. So that way you can always access. You can always access. But if you keep a high debt balance, then it's going to be hard. It's always going to be hard to access more credit because your DTI ratio is, based on and what I was saying, like based on how much you make a month, how much you have going out. you're not going to qualify for it. They're going to look at it like that. Like, now, if you could pay for it, if your income is higher, then yeah, they're going to be like, okay, cool. But your credit score is probably going to be lower
Right.
because of that. So you're going to have a higher interest rate, which in turn means you need to make more money every month in order to afford and take on this new debt. Let's say you wanted to get a vehicle, something simple. A lot of people want to get vehicles. Let's say you wanted to get a vehicle.
Right.
Let's say you say, okay, I need something reliable. I need something that's going to allow me to get to A to B. I'm not really cared about how I look in, how other people think I look in it. And it don't matter to me how I look in it either, as long as it's dependable. All right. If you go into it with that mindset, all right, or you go into it with, I need this fancy schmancy thing. All right, fine, whatever you like. When you purchasing this vehicle, try to have, not to put down on it, try to have at least half of the purchase price already going in. And it's not to put down on it. If your credit is top notch and you have a relationship with a lender, when you go in there, they're gonna give you a pre-authorization. So it's just kind of like a check, like a bank. Like, you call the bank, you tell them you want to get a loan, they're gonna run your credit for the vehicle. They're gonna give you a pre-authorization, and you're gonna already know the amount that they pre-approved you for. Now you may be pre-approved for 50,000, but that don't mean you have to run out and go and buy a $50,000 vehicle. But if you want to do that, then you do that. That's your business. What I say is what, from my own personal experience, if I get qualified for uh numbers like that, which I have, I look at, okay, what is my budget? What am I comfortable with? And then how much money do I have already to be able to put on this so I'm not carrying this debt over the length of this loan? I already looked up vehicles, and I'm only looking to spend maybe 15, 12, in between 12 and 15, because I'm looking at the interest rate and I'm looking at how much I'm gonna have to pay. Now, if they say, we gonna give you can go get a vehicle, Chef Pearl, you can go get a vehicle for 75,000 and at 7%, whatever you want, and it's gonna be $940 a month. Okay. So it's like, nah, dog, we not doing $940 just to drive.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And it's not in my business name. Now if it's a business, then that's different. But for just personal, no, we not. That makes no sense at all.
Right.
So we say, okay, well, I'm setting it at 12 or 16, but I have $7,000 cash already that I was kind of saving to go buy a car cash. But what I realized is I can get something for 12 or 15 in between that range. Okay. Then I can take $2,000 or $3,000 of that 7,000 that I have stashed and do what I need to do to that vehicle to bring it up to snuff, if it's some stuff that needs to be done to it when I get it.
Right.
Now I drop that in there. I take the remaining balance and I put it on the principal of the loan. I got my car fixed and made sure that this $12,000 vehicle, okay, can run for at least the next 2-3 years without me having to do a whole bunch of stuff to it. And then, because I took the longest payment, okay, I took $12,000, $15,000 at 72 months to make the lowest payment ever. All right. If they said I could do it for 80 months, I would have did it for 80. You know what I'm saying? I think it's not 80. I think it's something like 84 months or something, right? So
Yeah.
like, I would have done it for 84 months. The reason why is because you're going to lower your payment. That don't mean I'm going to take 84 months to pay it off.
Right.
That's ridiculous. You know, like, only thing you should be paying more than 5 years for is a mortgage.
Right.
Period. That's it. So I'm going to take the long payment though, because monthly it allows me to have more of my paycheck monthly because wages go up slower than the cost of things, than inflation. And then I take that 4 or that 5,000 and I pay it on that 12. Now I just made that $7,000 over 80, 72 months, 82, 84 months.
84 months.
I mean, now that going to just cut my payment in half. Right. You're utilizing that to lower your payment. That's first over the monthly to keep your monthly balance in check, your monthly income in check.
Right.
Then you cut that in half by making a lump sum payment on it or knock a big chunk out of it. All right. Which is ultimate. And that's just all principal. That don't go towards no interest. That just goes straight on the principal. All right. Of whatever that loan is. Now it's going to change your monthly payment because the overall balance of the loan is different.
Right.
But I can still keep making the same payment. And if I want to add now a little $50, $75 more to it to try to knock it off faster, then I can.
Right.
So that's the difference where it said, where I'm like, if it's a $200 car note, I put that let's say it's 225. All right, now it's 225, but I just paid that money and knocked it in half. Now it's only, 112. So if I say, okay, I knocked it in half to $7,000. All right, I put 5 on it from 12, knocked it to 7. It's only gonna take me, even if I just pay $300 a month now, if I go from that 225 that I was originally gonna pay and just add a little extra 75, I'm gonna pay that car off in 2 years. 24 months, the car gonna be paid off in less than. And if I got some extra money, then I'm gonna be able to just be like, you know what, I'll make a sacrifice. I'm not gonna go buy them J's this month. Right? I got the money to get them J's, but let me go ahead and get this car note off my back. So what I'm gonna do is that 200, 225 for the J's, I'm gonna take that 225 with this other 200 that I don't even have to pay. This other 225 that I don't have to pay. I could pay 112 because I done reduced it. I'm gonna put that and go ahead and knock that off so we can reduce our debt to credit ratio.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what your boy been doing, man, like for years. And that's why I don't keep no car notes at all. Like I'm so anti-car note.
You and me both. You remember I bought that truck? I bought that truck brand new like an idiot.
Nah,
But
you ain't buy like an idiot.
yeah,
Yeah, like we like stuff, man. We living,
yeah.
It was that's where you was when you was buying it. Cause you could too. Like, man, I could say I bought the Range Rover like an idiot, but I ain't gonna say I had a great time. We had fun. We went
I
out
had a
there,
good time riding in there too.
you know what I'm saying? So like, nah. Nah, we had fun.
We having
Too
fun.
much fun sometimes,
But but
But
I'm saying the moment I paid that truck off, but I don't even look at cars the same. I'm like, nope. How much it gonna cost me to fix this truck? Do that.
and it's just learning. It's just
Yeah,
learning. Because when we young, we want stuff, we see it, we want it, we gotta have it. Learning from it is just like, okay, it's the difference between obtain and afford. And a lot of people don't know the difference between obtain and afford. If I can't maintain it, I can't afford it.
right,
Just because I can obtain it does not mean that I can afford it.
right.
You know,
A
oh,
lot of people.
I got good credit. I got this, I got that. I got my credit's straight. And I got a couple dollars in the bank. I'm going to go get this 2027 uh Mercedes, Bentley, Range Rover, Sky, spaceship, like I'm going to go get this. And then they put the money down and then they realize like I can't afford it. You go get an oil change and it's $1,000. You go get brakes and rotors and it's $2,500. Like, do you have the money to be able to maintain it? If you cannot maintain it, then you cannot afford it. And it should get to a point where we all have hads because we get older, and especially if you're a person that like nice things, you're supposed to have some stuff and play with it. And it's like toys when we kids. You have some stuff, you play with it, and then move on, put it back in the box.
Right.
Right? But do we learn from it though? What was the lesson from it? Not just all the fun stuff. And I'm not just stuck on the fun stuff of like, because if I was stuck on the fun stuff, we would still be whipping Range Rovers and Benzes. We would still be doing that.
Right.
But when you get older and you realize like that's not important. Getting there safely, um, and having money to be able to do what I want to do with it. The my value system just changed. That's all it was. As I got older, my value system just changed.
In general, having a long credit history is positive for your FICO score, but it is not required for a good credit score. Uh, your FICO score takes into account how long credit accounts have been established, including the age of your oldest account and the age of your newest account, and the average of all the accounts. That's a nugget. The average of all your accounts in between your oldest and your newest. You more want to look at that. How long specific credit accounts have been established and how long it's been since you used certain accounts. Um, yeah, you definitely want to look at some of your older accounts and your newer accounts. Um, and make sure they stay open, because the longer the length is, sometimes it helps, especially if you made good payments for a very long time, then that helps establish to the lender, that you can pay a larger amount for a period of time. So you definitely want to look at that, um, and make sure you're paying attention to your different accounts in that way. Um, One example, if you had a credit card that was your oldest credit card, right, and you just decided that you didn't want this credit card anymore, if you actually got that credit account closed, it would hurt your credit score because of your length of history with that credit card. So I think it's better as a best practice to, if you don't want to use that credit card anymore, or for some strange reason, that you maintain it and keep it open and just don't utilize it. And then, every once in a while, make a purchase on it, put some gas on it or something, and just pay it off right away. And that'll keep it, it's being used, it's maintaining that length of history, and you can keep at the maximum, keeping that 15% on your credit score. So you want to use that.
In learning, I would take the credit card and cut it into 4 pieces. This is why I would cut it into 4 pieces and put it in the envelope and stash it somewhere. Because just in case I needed, I was messing up and I needed to access the card, then you can still always put them little 4 pieces together and go online and order whatever you need to order. you know, so that may not be good. That may not be a good practice. You're supposed to have the discipline to not go back to it.
Right.
By leaving the account open and not using it, it allows you to have a higher amount of available credit on paper.
On paper. Purchasing power.
Okay. So when it comes to your debt to credit ratio, it allows you to have more available credit versus the debt that you have.
Yeah, that credit history, the length of it, definitely take a look at that. We'll move along here to credit mix and new credit. Um, you know, the FICO score will consider your mix of credit cards, retail accounts, installment loans. Uh, Finance companies account for mortgage loans. Don't worry, it's not necessary to have one of each. That's a good note to take. You don't have to have one of each. but you do want to mix it up. They take into account when you mix all this stuff together, and then you know, you can just have multiple credit cards. You don't have to have personal loan or mortgage or anything like that. But that'll show that you're not in distress and that you can manage multiple lines of credit, especially if you're applying for a new credit. That takes you into that new credit. So they're gonna look at your credit history. They're gonna look at all those steps we talked about uh, up until this point when you're applying for a new line of credit, and they're gonna take all that into account, and then they're gonna say this person manages all his accounts correctly. I feel comfortable lending this person this money. And that's pretty much how it goes when you reviewing your credit card, your credit history, and your FICO score.
Yeah, absolutely. New credit is a big one because I hear a lot of people say like I don't have no credit, and that's the big thing where they don't understand that new credit is not bad credit. It just
But
means that you don't have any credit. You have to establish it. You're getting it established. I recommend if a person doesn't know or doesn't have a credit card, you got to get one, at least one, to begin to start.
if you don't get one, you ain't playing the game. You're just sitting on the bench.
And once again, this is not financial advice to anybody. This was something that I did during my military career that helped me access more credit, have access to more credit. Okay. The mindset was in lieu of cash. The practice, the discipline is in lieu of cash. So the in lieu of cash is $300 credit card. I get my paycheck. The $300 that I have in my bank account is going to pay this card off at the end of the month. I'm not going to carry a balance over to the next month. So when I take that $300 and I pay that card off, what happens is now I'm maxing it out, okay? And I'm paying it off. That's the same way a charge card works. The charge card companies require this discipline. You have to pay it off in full every month. Credit cards allow you to make minimum payments so they can keep making money off of you in interest.
And interest, right?
Okay? I'm going to take this card and everything that I can use it for. If I can pay my electric bill, if I can pay my cable bill, if I can pay this bill or that bill, I'm paying it with the card. The reason why I'm paying it with the card is because the card is also giving me some type of points, whether it's cash back or something like that, or some type of reward points, whatever that may be. I'm gonna max it out. It's only $300, $400, $500, right? Now it's due. I pay the whole thing. I pay it in full. I do the same thing, and then in 3 months, in 3 to 6 months, I can call that same issuer of that card, whatever bank I got that card from, and I can say, hey, I need y'all to increase my credit limit because this ain't enough. Scroll up, Mayday, please, at to 35.
Payment history.
That's what they're gonna look up, and then they're gonna determine from right there. They're gonna say, okay, we'll give it to you, and they're gonna ask you how much you want, and then you just tell them, and go above what you need just to see what they're willing to do based on your payment history. And it says right here, first thing any lender wants to know is whether you've paid your past credit accounts on time. Now, if you're calling them to ask them for a credit increase and you've been paying it on time, if they want to know from anybody else if you paid them on time, the common sense here is if they checking for somebody else's accounts to see if you paid them on time, then what would make you think they wouldn't be checking their own accounts to see if you paid their bills on time that you made with them,
Right.
right? So this is how you increase your credit limit. This is how you get your credit limit up to, to keep your credit limit, your available credit to keep increasing year over year over year over year over year. But you still have to pay your bills on time. You still have to make your payments on time. And that's the key. That's what they say, the first thing right there. And with the new credit, if a person applies that in lieu of cash, I'm gonna say it 1,000 times, in lieu of cash, but don't spend the cash. This is why people stay in credit card debt.
Right.
Because they'll charge the stuff up on the card, and then they'll go spend the money in the bank too, thinking that, oh, I get another paycheck. Nah, you running the hamster wheel.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? You living beyond your means because you're not looking at in lieu of cash is I'm gonna spend what I have. Okay? I'm not gonna go in the hole for it.
Right.
I'll be disciplined and I'll wait. Turn that debt into an asset.
Turn debt into asset. Then get more debt.
You gotta keep it. It's just ongoing. It's ongoing. But in a good way.
Yeah. Well, let me say get more credit. Let me put it that way.
Yeah, get more credit. More debt though. You said it right though.
Boom.
Yeah.
If you follow some of these guys these tips, keep your credit score excellent that we've been discussing, you should see your credit score go from whatever that 300 is all the way up. But it's an evolution that's going to keep going. It's like tug of war. If you're not managing it, then you're not going to increase it. It can go back down if you're not paying attention to it. But if you're paying attention, you should be able to maintain it or increase it as you need it.
If anybody has anybody watching this, you got comments, please leave a comment in the comment section. Also, you can check out Maydae51 on Instagram, at Maydae51, at DB Chef TV on Twitter. Also, like and share the video if you think somebody can benefit from this conversation we had, this information that we're sharing. And subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell. Also, check out the DB Chef TV network. We have a lot of good things, a lot of good information, different channels. And we're going to keep coming back right here, bowls on the table, trying to give y'all, as much best information that we can. Some helpful things, man, with these finances.
We all about the Benjamins. We all